Hello and welcome to the Curated Beauty Podcast. I'm Jessica Christie, CEO of Beauty Culture Med Spa and the founder of the new functional and regenerative business, Cultured Wellness. From my start as a physician assistant to now not only being a practitioner but leading my own businesses, I've been on a unique journey through health, beauty, and entrepreneurship. Join us as we explore everything from skincare secrets to leadership lessons. Whether you're passionate about beauty or striving to balance life's challenges, this is your space to connect, learn, and shine. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Curated Beauty Podcast. I have been on the go, you guys. I have been traveling, teaching, training, prepping for lots of different webinars. I've branched out, obviously, beyond just beauty culture and what my roles are as a leader here and a provider. I've shut some of those doors for now. I haven't locked them or sealed them shut, but I've shut some of them. I'm seeing how things feel. I'm shape-shifting. I am focusing. And while I'm on this quest, I thought I would just take this opportunity, since we've had so many guests recently on the podcast, which were amazing guests. I just really wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on with me, what's going on with beauty culture, what's going on with cultured wellness, like opening up that door a little beyond just what maybe you see on Instagram. So that's what this platform's for. I'm going to talk about new services, new products that we have. I want to talk a little bit about some of the cultured wellness stuff and why we're so different and why this is the functional medicine practice. I guess I've been doing a bad job marketing, because sometimes people will be like, who's a good functional medicine practice that I can see? And I'm like, oh my gosh, for what? First of all, because we obviously have a focus. And then when they tell me like thyroid, I'm like, oh my gosh, come see us. So we're going to talk a little bit about stuff like that. We will talk about some of my recent trips and kind of some themes that are coming together, where I'm headed next. And so I wanted to start by telling you guys where I most recently came back from is the amazing large group training that I did for Allergan. And that was a core concepts lip program. And this was for injectors anywhere from 6 months of experience all the way up to 5 years, but mostly they were newer injectors. And while I prefer and probably strongest in training advanced injectors, I really loved this opportunity to kind of rewind and look at what it feels like how I felt when I first started injecting, reflecting with the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Devin Malecki, about like what training looked like in terms of what Allergan offered when I first started. Not to mention all the people that have paved the path before me, like they had nothing. And so now being able to be a part of giving back and leading the charge and rewinding the tape and making sure that we're teaching our new injectors the right way so that our patients get a great outcome. And I say our patients very loosely, because one bad outcome is always bad for all of us. And I think that when we really think about competition, which is one of the talks that I'm going to be giving in May. So next month, I'm headed out for Alt Experiences, which is a new conference put on by Kaylee Lindholm, which is my personal business coach, still continues to be a huge mentor to me. Just super excited about the talk that I'm going to give there on how to be competitionless. I do want to touch on some of those concepts today, because as I prep for that talk, just so many thoughts come to mind. But while I was out there, I just was in awe, honestly, from where I've come, where I started, really even how novice in so many ways I was when I started my business, and now reflecting on how much I've grown and the opportunity of continual growth and who I'll be in the next 5 years. I looked around the room and people that were looking at me as someone that can help guide them, and definitely a position that I don't take lightly. I'm so blessed to be thought of that way. And I have value for how much work I've put into that and how much I've shown up and how much I've expressed that that's where I want to be. And networked with people that can get me there and really befriended them along the way and made sure that my core values are aligned with the companies that I'm working with and that I feel really good about the integrity all around. So it was really, really cool. While I was there, I got to go to the most incredible restaurant. It was in La Jolla, California, in the San Diego area. And I'm going to tell you about this steak analogy, okay? So I found this restaurant by just Googling really cool places in La Jolla, and I found a place called the Marine Room, and there were a lot of different reels on it. There were TikToks of people saying this is like top 3rd or top 5 TikTok restaurant. And essentially the Marine Room, gosh, how would I describe it? It was basically this room or this restaurant, which was actually pretty big, on this cliff in La Jolla, where it butts right up to the ocean. Like there's no walkable beach on the front part of that restaurant. And when the tide comes in at nighttime, you can really even see and hear the ocean spray hit the window even of the restaurant. And while I was there, it was pretty calm. It was earlier because I'm on Michigan time and I was trying to stay on Michigan time. I ate dinner at 5:30 like a grandmother, but I like eating dinners early anyways. It's way better for your digestion. I didn't have a reservation. It takes like weeks to get in to this restaurant. And I just got an Uber, was brave, was told at the front desk that they had one spot left at the bar as soon as I got there. So, and brave meaning I could have just ordered room service or gotten to the bar at the hotel and had dinner, but brave in a sense that I was like, I'm going to go eat by myself, venture out to a place I've never been, and just believe that I'm supposed to have this experience. So I got there, I ordered a dirty martini, which if I'm going to drink a martini, I like Hendrick's gin, slightly dirty, blue cheese olives if they have them, served up. And it was just so tasty, by the way. And I had a really amazing bartender. His name was something cool. I think Kirkland. But that kind of makes me think of Costco. But I think that was his name. Like he wore it so well. I didn't think of Costco when he told me about it. But I like befriended him and he was telling me about the restaurant. And so I ended up ordering a filet because I'm 100% gluten-free. And a lot of the stuff I wasn't sure about, and I don't know a lot about the contamination. You know, it seemed like a nice restaurant and everything. But I just thought, I'll just let him know I have a gluten allergy. I'm going to go with the filet, love filet, needed my protein. And so when it came out, it was just displayed obviously beautifully. And I started eating it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best filet I've had in a long time. And he was like, yeah, our filet chef has been here for 40 years. And I was like, what? First of all, how long has this restaurant been here? He said 85 years. And I could tell that, like, as people trickled in, they were dressed really nicely. There's part of it that's kind of like a club or like a membership kind of thing because of the homes that are around there. Everyone's coming like with their grandmother and their parents and dates. Like it was just obviously a place that was super special. But to have their own filet chef, I've actually never heard of that before. And I just started to think while I was eating, like this man has been their filet chef for 40 years. Okay. So he comes in and makes fillets and that's all he does. And just the nuances that he's identified and like, has he tried to branch out from fillets? Like, what does he love about cooking fillets? Like he probably studies the meats and brings them in from the places that he wants. And the restaurant totally trusts him that he's going to deliver the best fillets and that people like me are going to sit there and say, this is like one of the best fillets I've ever had in my life. And I just really started to think about that and think about focus, you know, like we in our med spa industry, our regenerative medical industry, like we feel pressured definitely in this industry to create and innovate. And sometimes it's not really about inventing something new, but really truly narrowing our scope. And we also don't need to focus on being so different because the more of us that are in our space, it actually creates more customers, because the more popular a brand is, the more popular a movie is, the more popular it is to go to a certain vacation spot, it attracts a larger share of that market. And so in general, there's really two types of customers. There's ones that buy the same product as everyone else because they feel like, oh, you've tried it, it's good for you, like you're doing this, I'm influenced. Or there's ones that specifically try to buy products that are different than everyone else to be different. That's their thing. And in aesthetics, I think that it's scary to consider some of these treatments. And so therefore, we want the trusted, tried and true products, the ones that we see our friends getting, the one that we can see wear well on their faces and that they look great. Like that's why before and after pictures are so impactful. But either way, it's impossible to capture 100% of the market. And so like, I think of this chef, like if he were trying to cook all of the things in the restaurant, would his fillets suffer? I think, how can I make my areas of focus smaller? If your brand is captivating, it is not going to appeal to everyone. And as I've continued to narrow my focus and as I've continued to look at what are my priorities and then filter everything that I'm doing through those three priorities or those three rocks, then I really am going to have to let go a lot of things. And so one of those things was shutting the door on patient care in order for me to lead teams and to develop better leaders within my team, in order for me to focus on regenerative medicine, in order for me to focus on training the next generation of injectors. I had to give up something. And because I have a team of people that are all super passionate about providing care, that is something that I was able to do. I had the who's to do that part. And so even though I lost patients because I wouldn't any longer see them, that was okay to me because my priority is training my team and not trying to see the most patients and make revenue myself from patients. And so even though that's hard to let go of some people, the fact that they weren't aligned and on the same vision and focus path, and they couldn't see that, gosh, wouldn't you want to see the people that then I've trained? That was an easier thing for me to let go of. So I just think if your brand is captivating, it will not appeal to everyone. And that is okay to let those people go. So instead of focusing on everyone else is doing and what everyone else is marketing, if you can ask yourself in this deeply meditative state, what are you marketing to? What is your niche? What does your ideal customer look like? What are you passionate about providing? Not until you're really, truly clear about this can you as a leader attract people who want the same thing. And I'm talking about both employees and team members and your patient base. And then obviously, if you're not in the med spa industry or medical practice, what does that look like in your own business? Either your team members, your customers. I do want to offer a caveat of caution. As a leader, you will repel people. And so when you start to focus and when you start to lay claim to your brand, you make people feel uncomfortable, especially those ones who want to be different, but you just have to abandon the hope that you're going to take the whole market. I was reading a book and it was talking about how Franklin Roosevelt was the most popular president and the only one to be elected for 4 terms. And he only had 61% of the popular vote in his best year. So if he only had 61%, it is crazy for us to think that we're going to have a larger part of the market than that. And so I think, what does that look like in terms of focusing? Well, it's purposefully giving up a segment of the market. Get a niche. As Alex Hormozy says, don't make me, he calls it a niche, but it's really actually a niche. Don't make me niche slap you. Are you about quality? Are you about price? Are you about safety? Are you about convenience? And if you're saying quality and then you're offering yearly annual blowout sales and other huge discounts, then you're not consistent in your marketing or your messaging. And I had to look in the mirror myself. I was offering annual sales and just teaching people to commoditize me and my practitioners and my services, and then go to the next shop and buy the cheapest night of beauty thing that they have or annual sale thing that they have. And I don't want those kind of patients. I want patients that are fully bought into our vision. I want patients that are all in, that we can take on our proprietary elite patient journey. So you have to make sure that you're consistent in your marketing and your messaging and your core values. If you're about price, for example, that's fine, but you're likely hiring less expensive people or less expensive team members or providers, and you may be okay with a quick convenience new patient factory. That's your marketing. But you also have to realize that you're going to have to invest a lot more money in new patient acquisition and be okay that you're probably not maintaining them. You have to state your own position and vigorously attack the opposition. And by your actions, don't be a nasty little hater, because guess what? People are reading right through your angry little posts and by your digs. And while you may get views on what you're talking about and people are like looking at you and then looking at the person that you're talking about, because everyone knows, there's no quality actually coming to you as a patient who's really interested in your niche. So by your actions, make sure that you're stating your own position and vigorously attacking the opposition, not by just talking crap on Instagram. You attract what you put out there. And if you're trying to be all the sides, you're going to look wishy-washy and lose people. And when med spas are looking at what everyone else is doing without a microscope on why they're doing it, because you probably don't know all the insides of someone's plan. You just see what they're putting out there. That might just make you diversify to follow them, but then you're slowly losing focus on what you're doing and you're losing focus on your market share. It doesn't happen overnight, but customers will slowly lose interest on what you're doing when you're painting with a broader brush and expanding your focus. And so you're going to lose that niche because the new focus competition is going to move in and eat your lunch. So narrowing your focus and being strong somewhere is better than expanding your focus and winding up being weak everywhere. And honestly, it's why I didn't just up in arms, put up another location in Florida. Do I think it could be successful? Yeah. Am I still planning on probably doing it? Yeah. But also I have this strong powerhouse in Michigan that has national recognition, and my team and all the changes that we continue to put into place and how we continue to focus still requires 100% of my attention. And so take a deep breath. How refreshing to not have to exist for everyone and be everywhere. And what keeps us from giving up and sacrificing in order to create the niche to grow really is usually a scarcity mindset. It's the inability to let go of what was or what you're looking at other people. It's your ego. Honestly, if you're chasing your tail, you're going to overextend yourself and you're going to water down your brand. And you can literally start anywhere. You don't need to wait until you're in a bad situation to refocus your brand, or if you're starting a new business, to focus from the beginning. The best time to do this is when things are going well. Who has a better opportunity to make out on the deal of refocusing? Is it someone who has a competitive advantage and someone who's been doing well, or someone who's trying to drink from a dry well and finally ready to refocus and listen to all these thoughts when they're beyond desperation? That's not going to work. And sadly, people don't focus on the former of refocusing when things are going well, because why would you go back to the drawing board when things are easy? The temptation is to leave things alone when they're working, but you have to think 10 steps ahead as a leader. That's part of my visionary leadership talk track. Then you have to be able to display that vision effectively for your team to believe you and follow you and see it. So there has to be a level of trust there too, and consistency in what you're saying. So really trade a broad focus in a small market to a narrow focus in a really large market, and be happy with that piece that you're taking. If you have that, you are golden. And honestly, I hear people say all the time things like a badge of honor to say, yeah, we have 30 patients a day per provider. Okay, well, that's actually nothing to be proud of, because what is happening there? Something is obviously working on the marketing end to get them in the door. But my next question is, what do your KPIs look like on patient retention and patients booking new services? How are you measuring their satisfaction? What is their quality in terms of their work? And then what's your employees and your team members' quality of life at work? Like, do you ask your team if they enjoy seeing everyone that walks in the door? Are they like beyond drained because of all the personalities and the problems? So guess what? That equates to turnover and a trashed investment in your training. I even was thinking about my son and his obsession with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Arnold always plays himself in movies, in the Terminator movies, in The Last Stand, in The Sixth Day. I'm just trying to think of all the Arnold movies that I'm forced to watch. But then look at what happens when he tries to be a pregnant man in Junior. Have you actually seen that movie, or do you just know about it because it's like a strange concept? No one talks about that movie. If you think of Arnold and his movies, you think of all the other ones. So when you develop your own focus, people know your brand and what you offer. And it's just the most incredibly powerful tool to pave the way for continued sustained success. So make sure that you are practicing the art of focus and that you're selecting your category after weighing it heavily against your core values. Work diligently to get categorized in what you want. And it's not a trap to avoid, but rather really a goal to focus on. So those are my thoughts with that. I have these next talks going on. I'm going to, like I said, alt experiences to talk on how to be competitionless, which a lot of this has to do with it. But obviously it's a much more focused talk on leaders in the industry and how to really shut out the noise. I'm also speaking at Cult Aesthetics in Salt Lake City in June on visionary leadership. And all these themes are really starting to come together. And I'm going to see how I feel about speaking. I am a good speaker. I continually get great feedback, even though I'm a newer speaker with authentic thoughts. But it seems that I have a platform in these things. And so I'm going to see how this goes. But if it's something that sticks and I continue to speak, guess what? Other things have to give because I have to focus. I do also want to talk about how cultured wellness, oh my gosh, we are flying with our regenerative functional medicine business. And again, we're focusing on really a few different things. One of them is our medical weight loss program, which we do so differently than other people. If you are just looking like an emaciated Ozempic face, people are like, oh my gosh, you've lost so much weight. That is not the goal, people. I mean, if you have a lot of weight to lose, of course, people are going to say those things to you, but we really are focused on doing things the right way with our essential commitments, what is needed, semaglutide and tirzepatide. These are tools. And if you're not doing them correctly, you're setting yourself up for actually, first of all, dependency on this medication, which is kind of expensive long term. And also, you're completely destroying your hormones, your gut, everything, your bones. Skeletal muscle is your number one longevity factor. So if you want to live long and live well, you really need to make sure that you're aligned with a medical weight loss program that's doing it well, which is why that's growing so quickly for us. Another thing is our gut and liver detox, which again, people with Hashimoto's, adrenal fatigue, inflammatory bowel diseases, just all of those people, they do so well on our gut and liver detox because first of all, your cell is just trapped. The layer is just what it is. And it's all these toxins that are in the cell can't get out and things just can't go through the normal transports. We just need to reset your system. And it's amazing what that does. Sometimes we even wrap that into our weight loss or even with our bioidentical hormones program. So one of the things I wanted to point out about that is, first of all, we have the most amazing hormones that we have on board, Quicksilver Scientific. We have just awesome results and people that have been on hormone therapy for a long time with other people. The ease of use, the male hormone thing is that facet of our business is going wild because we have the oral liposomal nanoparticle testosterone versus getting shots or pellets. A lot of times pellets in males, they kind of spit them out because Males don't have a lot of cushion in the back where we put those pellets. And we're just seeing amazing results. And it's something that's so different about this technology. And don't sit on this. If you guys are in the hormone space, oh my goodness, you guys. So not only is it just giving you this sustained testosterone, this oral testosterone that we're using, it's a Quicksilver technology, but we get it through our compounding pharmacy that works well with this. We had to kind of create these relationships. It follows your own circadian rhythm. So it's not just suppressing everything else. It is so efficacious. You need a small amount. It's super affordable. If you are a male on testosterone replacement, you should definitely come to us and see how we can optimize that better and get you better results, and also minimize some of the side effects of testosterone replacement. The other thing is, if you are a female that is on bioidentical hormones or hormone replacement therapy, I definitely would love to just evaluate and optimize your plan. And then if you're someone who's just experiencing all those classic hormone things, like I just don't feel right, I don't feel like myself, I'm having difficulty losing weight, I feel like I'm not sleeping well, I have hot flashes, I have night sweats, I can't put muscle on, like those things are screaming to you that you have a deficiency of your hormones. It's happening sooner and sooner because of the really toxic world that we live in. We can give you some hormones that are bioidentical that you're missing so that all of your other systems are optimized. So those are just some of the thoughts I have. Like my major focus on focusing, our exciting new programs with Cultured Wellness and how we're continuing to really hone in on what makes them the best. My training, upcoming and past. I also, if you haven't seen the plated webinar that I did, that was so helpful at kind of unpacking my favorite exosome topically on the market right now. And then also I did a webinar with Quicksilver on hormones, which also you can get access to. And I'll see if I can get access to those links and put them in the show notes. And then also, you guys, we brought on color science. So I have, for a long time, been really wanting to bring in a good makeup line. In myself, I have really struggled to find makeup that I feel good about putting on my face. And Color Science has just really come out with some amazing products that are all physical, work really well on the skin, kind of fill some gaps that we had in skincare, and just like we want to maintain the prescriptive authority on what you're putting on your face. If you're having issues and you're using a lot of things from Ulta or Sephora or the drugstore and we can't figure out why you're having these sensitivities, like we just really want to make sure that we have integrity about what we're putting on the largest organ of our body. So we're super excited about that. So those are my thoughts. That's my catch up. I felt like super compelled to do that and catch you guys all up and give you my thoughts on focusing in this amazing industry that we're all so lucky to be in. So check out the show notes for some of those resources, and I will see you all back here next week. And that's a wrap on another enriching episode of the Curated Beauty Podcast. If today's conversations resonated with you, I urge you to share it with someone you believe could benefit from it. Let's spread the beauty, knowledge, and empowerment far and wide. For more in-depth resources, information about who we are, or if you're interested in becoming a patient or training directly with me or one of my team, visit our website at beautyculturespa.com. Don't forget to stay connected with us on Instagram for all the latest updates, behind the scenes, and beauty wisdom. Follow us at beautyculture.medspa and at B Cultured Wellness. That's the letter B, Cultured Wellness. Thank you for being with us today. Keep curating your beauty both inside and out. Until next time.